Greetings everyone, welcome to Chess. I highly apologize. This is actually a re-upload because lastly I uploaded it. I didn't realize I mistakenly interchanged Divya's and Mitra's photos in the interface, and because of which there was a lot of confusion. I really apologize for that. I was really sick. I couldn't see it at that time, and thank you for Irving Graben to actually point it out. And because of him only, I'm able to re-upload this. And thank you very much. I really apologize. And this game was played in Women's Chess Olympiad 2024. And with the white pieces, we have FIDE World Cup winner, recently Grandmaster Divya Deshmukh, and with the black pieces, we have Mitra Heijazipour. She's a women's grandmaster from France, so this game is going to be one insane game. And this game is one of those games where aggression is absolutely on the top. So, without further ado, let's start with this game. With the white pieces, Divya starts with e4. We have c5 going for Sicilian Defence, knight to f3, d6, and we have this very nice d4. And now we have this knight to f6, but just knight to c3. C captures, knight captures a6, going for the knight of variation. And we have bishop to e2, e5, and here just bishop to knight to b3, bishop to e7, and just bishop to e3. Hinting at maybe you just want a queen to d2 and long castles and start an early attack. And here we have bishop to e6, but just f4, just going for the same. Queen to c7, f5, and just immediately going for the attack, trying to lock up this bishop. We have bishop to d7, but just castles, and just a very nice a4. And we have knight to c6, but here just knight to d5, and we have knight captures, e captures, knight to a5, and just knight to d2. And Mitra in this position goes for b5, but just for very nice b3. Just trying to keep everything solid, not trading more pieces, and you have to see what you want to do in this position, because you could go for the rook here and target that weak c2 pawn, but also you could go for this b captures, and that is the best move in this position. After b captures, you create isolated pawn. We have f6 and here bishop to d3. We have rook f to b8, now queen to g4, and here after king to h8 you play king to h1, nice prophylactic moves. And here after queen to b7 you play queen to e4, bishop to e8, and here after rook a b1 we have queen to c8, g4, bishop to f7, and just king to g1. And here after rook captures, and going for this rook to b8, rook to b4. Fight will have a perfectly normal game. There would be no issues in this position. You could go for even an immediate endgame after rook captures, and just maybe just trying to grab this pawn, and everything is absolutely fine. But in this position, you have to be very much careful as black, because you need to understand that this f6 could be a threat at any moment. Bishop could come in into this diagonal. This queen could jump in, and the queen could jump in, and it could be very much dangerous to be in this position. Here rook f to c8 was played, but just bishop to d3, just going as planned. But now f6. Now f6, does it weaken the position, or does it give you a bit too much? Because here queen to h5 by Divya, immediately striking, and now we have bishop to e8 attacking the queen, and now just queen to h4, but here just bishop to f7. And now after rook to f3, a very nice rook lift by Divya. This is going to be used for attacking purposes. We have king to h8 and just rook to h3. And now you are threatening this, so you have to defend. So bishop to g8, but now just knight to f3, and that knight is going to be extremely powerful in this position. We have knight captures on b3, a very nice sacrifice here, because you have to understand that when all action is happening in this, that knight on the rim was not doing very much, so she decided to sacrifice it. But here after c captures, we have queen to c3, just trying to go for it, and trying to get some pieces here, but just rook to d1, defending everything. And now here just queen caps on b3, just threatening to pick up the rook. So here the absolute best move recommended by the engine, queen to e1 played by Divya, but just bishop caps on d5. And now how do you continue your attack, because you know that the king is vulnerable there. Here just knight to h4, a very beautiful move. This comes with a threat of just picking up the bishop. So here we have king to g8, but just rook to g3. And here we have queen captures on e4, just grabbing another pawn. So now the opponent is up actually 3 pawns for the price of the piece. That's enough compensation. But here just bishop to e2, and here we have bishop to f7, rook to g3, just attacking the queen moves, and we have bishop to h6. And now here just bishop to f8, the only move trying to defend this. I mean, you could have pushed, but you don't want to give all of that to Divya. Once she gets going, it's very difficult. It would be very difficult to stop that attack. And here, how do you continue the attack? The best way to continue the attack in this position is bishop to f3. I mean, just targeting that rook. And here after bishop to h5, just trying to pin the rook. Here you play bishop to e4, attacking the queen. Once the queen moves, you play h3, and this h3 is such a nice move. Like, it's giving black a choice. What do you want to do? If you capture here, like bishop captures on g4, you just play h captures, then use f8, because here in this position, unfortunately, you cannot save the a8 rook, because the idea is very simple. Either you give me the rook, or I'm just gonna give this check, and I'm just gonna be winning your queen on the next move. So after a move like rook to c5, defending against that, we have rook bishop captures on a8, g captures, and here just going for knight to f3. And here after d5, I mean, these pawn storms looks absolutely insane, but you do have an extra piece for that, so you can handle it. Queen to d2, but here just going for d4, and I think Divya would have a perfectly amazing game. With kingside being broken up like this, there could be many ideas of actually breaking through in this position. But here after bishop to f8, we have queen to g3. I mean, this is absolutely aggression at its finest, because just just hanging a whole bishop to go for the attack. And does it work? Well, we're just gonna have to wait and see, because here queen caps on e2 was played, but now just comes rook to e1 attacking the queen. Queen to a2, and here bishop captures. Bishop captures and rook caps on g7 with a check. King to h8, but hey, just rook to g4, because you have to understand that you cannot capture this, because well, the queen is guarding it, so there is nothing for you to do, but you have to wait here. And queen to b3, knight to f3 was played, but now just comes rook to g8. And here we have rook captures, and queen to h4, and we have king to g7. And this king to g7 unfortunately does not work. We have knight to d2 attacking the queen, queen to c2, and just this knight to e4. And the knight to e4 move is a very powerful move now, because that can come in this position, and it's going to be very much dangerous to stop. Also, all of that would be coming with tempo as well. So here Mitra goes for king to f8, but just g3. And I mean, just trying to stop the mate, just the calm before the storm. We have d5, just trying to push the knight out of the way, but here amazing knight caps on f6. And here we have queen to c5 check, king to g2, queen to c2 check, king to g1, and here just queen to c5 check. And now finally going for this king to h1, and now there are no more checks, and your position is absolutely crumbling, because not only the rook is up for grabs, but this queen is also there to go for the royal fork here in this position, and it's going to be very much difficult to stop both of the threats. So here we have queen to f2, just attacking the rook, but just the knight to d7 check. And here we have king to e8, and now just going for this knight to f6, king to f8, and knight caps on h7 with a check. And now just king to g7, we have queen to f6 check, giving up a complete knight again to go for the attack. And she takes it, king caps on h7, but just queen caps on f7, rook to g7. But this rook to g7 unfortunately does not work, and unfortunately for Mitra, this is actually a mate in 9, but you have to really see it. So I'm gonna ask you to pause the video and try and find out the only move in this position which wins the game completely on the spot. Have at it. The idea is basically, first you give a check. As soon as the king moves, now you go for this rook to c1, and now there is no stopping that. So here you have to sacrifice the queen to f1 check, rook captures on f1, rook to c7, but now just comes f6, king to f8, f7, and here just rook to c6. We have queen to h8 check, king to e7, f8, queen, getting another queen into the game, king to d7, rook to f7 check, king to e6, and queen to f6 checkmate. But by Divya, after the rook blocked, she went for the similar thing, but with a different move order. Queen to h5 check, king to g8, queen to e8 check, king to h7, and queen to h5 check, both ways trying to gain time on the clock, king to g8, and just rook to c1, but there is absolutely nothing here in this position. Just rook to c7 was played, just trying to maybe just capture this, so you can go for a perpetual, but it doesn't work. Queen to e8 check was played, king to g7, rook caps on c7, everything with a tempo, king moves, and unfortunately this would have been checkmate. So here, just after rook caps on c7, Mitra Hejazipour, she resigned the game, and Divya Deshmukh got this spectacular victory in round 4 of the FIDE Women's Olympiad. And with that, she is 4-4 and definitely just playing with fire here. Absolutely a stunning performance by a future Grandmaster. So yeah, thank you all for watching. I'll be coming back with games like these, so stay tuned to the channel, subscribe to the channel, and I'll be seeing you guys very soon. Thank you all.